Good morning, guys. Three bold takes again with another bowl game. This time we have the Gasparilla Bowl between Georgia Tech and UCF. Georgia Tech was one of those teams this year that was very tough. You definitely did not want to just take them lightly on the year. They ended up 6-6 making a bowl game, which is a huge improvement over last year. UCF, on the other hand, a little bit down this year since joining the Big 12, which is to be expected. Quinn, I want to go to you first here. UCF is a 4.5-point favorite.
Yeah, now let me start with this. Never mind. He played at Oklahoma. Sorry, he played at UCF before Oklahoma. I was about to ask about Dylan Gabriel transferring out, but he was at Oklahoma.
Right.
You look at UCF, I don't really think they're down per se. I think they just had an increase in competition level throughout a whole season. They've had really good showings in a handful of their games this year in the Big 12, but I cannot help myself but pull for Georgia Tech in this game because the Yellow Jackets have been consistently in games that you wouldn't think they'd be in all year long. They should have beat Louisville back in the beginning of the season. They gave Georgia fits. I really like what Georgia Tech's done this year. And while I think there's definitely a coaching edge in favor of UCF, and I would argue probably a talent edge in favor of UCF, I think the scrappy nature of Georgia Tech this year gets them the win in this bowl game.
Yeah, kind of looking at UCF, claps to them, applaud to them because their huge season in the Big 12 this year. They followed up with a really bad stretch during the middle of the year, but then they come out, they beat Oklahoma State 45-3 late in the season, Cincinnati as well. I think they're honestly set up pretty well for the Big 12 to be a top 6 contender moving forward. They got to still work through some bumps and stuff, talent gaps, all that nature. But UCF played really, really well for their first year in the Big 12. But I'm going Georgia Tech as well. We've kind of talked about how Georgia Tech has been a very scrappy team. I think they're going to continue to do that. And a fun fact, if you look at Georgia Tech's schedule, after every single loss, they followed it up with a win. What did they do in Week 12? They lost to Georgia by 8. Here is a win for Georgia Tech and the Yellow Jackets. Freddie?
Chase, you love your superstitions, man.
Come on now.
I don't know if I've ever seen somebody quite like you in the love of superstitions.
Come on.
And you've kind of made me a believer in superstitions as well. But I don't think this is going to be the case in this game. Unfortunately, I do think the UCF gets the win here. By the way, Georgia Tech's quarterback Haynes King from Texas A&M had a pretty decent year this year. Kind of up and down. Needs to get better with the interceptions, however. I think he's got 26 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So a little happy there when it comes to throwing the ball to the opposite team. But give me UCF here. I think they have a lot to prove in a sense of that they belong in the Power 5 and not in the Group of 5 anymore. And a good way to cap that would be with a bowl win in the Gasparilla Bowl.